Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Dear students, I welcome you back in the second lecture of the lesson A Basketful of Sea Trouts, written by Neil Grant. So in the previous lecture, we dealt with author, characterization, setting of the play, and we dealt with beginning of the play. And we had reached to the point where Brody and Lord Findhorn they just come to the conclusion that Nellie Salter was murdered by none other but Mrs. Lomond. Okay, Jean Lomond. Why so? Because you know that Jean Lomond narrated the whole incident. Okay, she narrated the whole incident, how Nellie Salter was killed and where was she murdered. Now, while they are dealing with this conversation, they talk about Jean Lomond. Suddenly, they hear a knock, and they realize that Colonel Allardyce, who is a constable, okay, is a policeman, and he is knocking at the door. Now, Colonel Allardyce, he comes in and he tells both Brody and Lord Findhorn that he came their hut in order to give them some news. And the news is very surprising. What is the news? The news is that Jean Lomond has committed suicide by herself. Are you getting me? Now, when Brody and Lord Findhorn, when they come to know this news, they are both horrified and surprised because they cannot believe it, as they know that Jean Lomond is resting in study room at that very time. Okay. Now they tell to Colonel Allardyce that no, he is wrong. His message is wrong because they were just talking to Jean Lomond. How can it be possible? And they tell them that she is there in the study room. On the other side, Colonel Allardyce thinks that perhaps they are both drunk, or they may have napped after dinner. And he tells them that you are not in your right mindset. I think you are mentally disturbed. What are you telling? The news is clear. Now, in order to prove whether Colonel Allardyce is right or whether Brody and Lord Findhorn is right, they just want and they just decide that they should just check in and find out is it real or not. Okay, now what does Brody do? Brody just knocks at the door where Jean Lomond is just staying. When he calls to Jean Lomond, she does not call back. To his surprise, Brody opens the door and he finds that Jean Lomond is not inside. Okay? Now both Findhorn and Brody, they are surprised. They are horrified. They cannot believe their eyes. Now they just stare to one another. Then whom were they talking a few minutes before? So Colonel Allardyce makes them clear that they may have drunk or they may have napped after dinner. That is why they are confused. Okay, now he tells them that it is clear Jean Lomond is dead now. Now at the same time, Colonel Allardyce's subordinate, whose name is Mr. Sauter. Okay, now Mr. Sauter calls Colonel and they just begin a conversation on phone. Mr. Sauter informs Colonel Allardyce that they have found the dead body of Jean Lomond. They have fished out the dead body of Jean Lomond from a river, and before committing suicide, Jean Lomond had written a letter in which she wrote up all the things and she accepts being a murderer, and she writes in the letter that she has killed Nellie Salter. So you know why? Because Nellie Salter was an evil woman and she was trying to trap Jean Lomond's son, but Jean Lomond could not bear that, as she knew that Nellie Salter would never be a faithful woman to her son. That's why she killed Nellie Salter. Okay. One thing more, Brody and Findhorn come to conclusion that their guess that Jean Lomond may have killed Nellie Salter comes true. Now, both Brody and Findhorn, they tell Colonel Allardyce that they still believe that Jean Lomond was here because she had got a basket full of sea trout. Now here the title is clear now. Are you getting me? That's why the play is titled as A Basket Full of Sea Trouts, because the whole play, the whole mystery in the play and the whole play revolves around the title, A Basket Full of Sea. So it is an accurate title, it is an apt title. Okay, there may be a question on the title of the play, so you must be careful. Now it means that they now come to conclusion that Jean Lomond was here, and they tell to Colonel that she was there in order to thank Judge. Okay, she was there in order to thank Judge because the judge, that is Findhorn, he had saved her son from the trial, and the accusation that was Jean Lomond's son Hector had killed Nellie Salter proved wrong with the help of Judge. Now, again, Colonel Allardyce tells them, no, you are not in your right mind. Now they just conclude this conversation, and Brody tells Colonel Allardyce that before moving back to the police station, he wants to accompany him with a torch outside the window till he can find his path. But Colonel Allardyce tells them that he is having his own torch, so they need not to bother about him. When Colonel Allardyce proceeds towards main door, that is C, okay, door C, main door. Now he utters a shriek. He is horrified, and Brody and Findhorn follow him. When they come out at the end of the room, that is at door, they find a basket full of sea trout. Are you getting me? Now all of them are surprised that how is this possible that in such a season, as it was not fair season to catch sea trouts, and if somebody has caught the sea trouts, was it really Jean Lomond? If it was Jean Lomond, okay, but she had committed suicide, she is already dead, then who was it to bring a basket full of sea trout, and at the end of the play, both Brody and Lord find Horn. They are terrified. They feel terrified because they think that they were just talking to a spirit. So the mystery is again here. Are you getting me? So the mystery prevails. Now it is up to you. You need to decide whether it was spirit or Jean Lomond. Okay? It means that this the character of Jean Lomond, it maintains the environment of mystery throughout the play. Okay. Thus, the character of Jean Lomond invokes both fear and sympathy. How sympathy? Because she feels very loving towards her son. She wants to save her son at the cost of her own life. Okay, while committing suicide, but at the same time, she invokes terror, fear, because at the end we find that as if she was a spirit talking to Brody and Lord Findhorn. So it was their hallucination. It might be that somebody else had kept the basket full of sea trout at the door. So inshallah I will see you in the next lecture. Till then, take care and fi amanillah.